I'm here today with beautiful Edna, and the focus of today's tutorial is going to be beautiful, fresh, glowy skin, a strong brow and a strong lip. So I'm going to start off with some gorgeous skincare. This is the By Terry Glowing Rose Mask. Just applying this everywhere with a brush, and once it's on it kind of starts to foam, and then I'm going to remove this once it's been on for 5-10 minutes with kind of like a damp cloth. And this is just going to make sure that skin beautifully exfoliated and really fresh in like preparation for the serum and moisturizer. So I'm just going to remove this now using a damp, this is actually a little kind of sponge by Face Halo, and these are so effective at removing, obviously removing masks, but also at removing makeup, and it's generally what I do to remove my makeup. Excuse the cooing baby sounds in the background. Just applying a serum now. This is the Capture Total serum by Dior, which is packed full of hyaluronic acid, so it's really, really hydrating and plumping. I'm going to pop a little bit of moisture on. This is the Capture Total moisturizer, also by Dior, and it's really lovely, beautiful, hydrating texture. This actually doesn't make skin too slippy, so it means that makeup does still on top of this. But I like to kind of apply moisturizer and then give it, say, like 3 or 4 minutes just to absorb into the skin before I apply anything else on top. Now I'm going to apply some of the Dr. Russo Once a Day SPF, which is protection but also a primer. It comes with a little brush, so if you kind of just pump it, then I don't know whether you can see there, a little bit of product comes out, and this is a brand new product, so I'm applying it directly on Edna's skin. And it offers protection from the sun, as I said, and obviously being once a day, it's a great base to wear under makeup, but it also allows makeup to sit beautifully on top, so it's kind of like a primer and an SPF in one. And also what I love about this is it's completely invisible protection, whereas some SPFs that you use can leave a residue on the skin. This doesn't at all. Because I want to keep skin super glowy, and also because Edna has beautiful skin, I'm just going to use some of the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturiser, which I'm just applying now, and this gives really, really lovely sheer coverage, but also helps to even out skin tone. And then we can just pop a concealer in any areas that need a little bit more coverage. So I'm just applying some of the Rodial Banana Lowlighter now. It's got some coverage this, so you can apply it under eyes as a brightening concealer. And you can also use it as kind of like a very natural, subtle highlighter too. So now I just want to set that, but I don't want to remove any of the glow from the skin. So I'm going to use the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder, because this is also packed full of hyaluronic acid. So it means you can set skin, but not actually remove any of it. Before I finish the skin, I just want to give it a chance to settle, so I'm going to move on to eyes. I am using this gorgeous product, which is Sequins Glam Glitter Liquid Shadow in the shade Shimmy Dip. And I'm just applying that all over lids. And the eye for today is going to be really simple, so actually I think it's nice to just have this wash of glittery shimmer on the lids when we're not having much else. So for the first time ever in a tutorial, I am not going to do a liner, and I'm going to do lashes on their own, which I'm going to show you can look like a really gorgeous dramatic lash look even without a liner there if you use a kind of lightweight natural lash. I'm just starting off by curling the lashes using my favourite Kevyn Aucoin lash curlers. These are so effective. And then I'm going to pop some of my No Lash individuals from Sweet Lashes. I'm just taking the medium length, which is this row here. I always kind of take them from the kind of base of the lash and the middle of the packet, and then I'm just dipping that in a little bit of duo adhesive and then sticking them super, super close to the lash line. And these look really natural on. They kind of just replicate the look of your natural lashes, but add a little bit of volume and length. So I've applied the lashes now, and I've used kind of like the whole row of medium length, and I've used just a couple of the shorter length in the inner corners, which helps it to stay looking really natural. And now I'm going to apply lots of mascara. I'm using the new Paragraph Dark Star Mascara, which is amazing. Really kind of lengthening and volumizing, and also doesn't really transfer around the eyes, which makes it a winner in my book. And now we are going to move on to brows. I've just put a little bit of fixing spray in my Soap Brows tin. This is a spoolie, which is also from Soap Brows, and I've got product on the brush, and I'm just going to comb that through the brows. But where Edna has quite naturally sparse brows, I want to make sure that there's enough product to actually stick to the skin as well as the brow hair, and give that a little while to set. And then I'm just going to use a finger to kind of press it down to the skin and make sure it's kind of an even coating. And anyone that's sort of used soap in their brows before and find that it leaves a white residue, this is the way around that. Just to kind of press the brow hairs down to the skin, and then I'm going to follow that with a brow product to define and shape the brows. So one of the keys to creating natural looking brows when you're working with sparse brows and you want them to look really full is actually just use a combination of colours. I'm starting off now using a shade called Soft Brown, which is an Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Gel, and just with a little angle brush, sorry, just face forward, I'm just going to kind of very, very lightly go in at the beginning of the brow to kind of create these hair-like strokes and just generally give a little bit more depth and a base to this brow. And then afterwards I'm going to go in with another shade to further define and really give the look of texture. And I think that's the key really with creating brows, is you want there to still look like there's texture rather than just flat colour on the skin. And actually just when you're doing the kind of tail of the brow, that's when I focus less on kind of creating these hair-like strokes and more about defining the shape and the angle that I want. So always try and go slightly higher. It's got kind of natural brow growth down here, but I'm taking this brow slightly higher, which is going to help to lift and elongate the shape of the eyes and the brows. That's the first layer of colour, and now I'm going back in with another tone. This is actually slightly cooler. This is the shade Taupe, and this I'm using just to really kind of create that fluffy look and make the hairs look a little bit more defined and brows look a bit more kind of feathered and bushy too. I'm going to move on to finishing skin now, and I'm going to use the Cream Contour by Fenty Beauty in the shade Amber, which I think is a lighter shade, and I'm just going to press this under cheekbones and blend this up. And the nice thing about this shade is it's very cool, which means it's kind of not an orangey tone. It's got a little bit more of a kind of grey undertone, which makes it look more like natural shadowing on the skin rather than like a bronzer contour. Now for blush and a little bit of added glow, I'm going to use the Brightening CC blush from By Terry, which is this kind of beautiful rosy tone. Turn slightly to the side, sorry, other side. Then actually you can see literally as this goes on, gives this kind of beautiful fresh sheen to the skin and sits really nicely on top of the product that we've used, even though I put powder on earlier. And also smells like roses. I don't know whether you guys can see on camera, but Edna has the cutest little natural freckles, and I really wanted to keep those freckles showing through, so I purposely kept skin really natural and sheer, but I also just want to enhance her natural freckles, and I'm using a product called Freck, which is kind of like a stay-on freckle makeup. So you just dot it on the skin, give it a couple of seconds, and then if you go back over the top with a finger, then your finger kind of picks up a little bit of product and helps to disperse it so that it kind of replicates those freckle marks, and you get these really kind of natural looking freckles that stay put. Just want to add a tiny touch of glow now. I'm going to use the Dior Backstage Universal Glow in the shade number 1. If you look to the side for me, you can see as this goes on, it's just a really beautiful sheer natural glow. It stays looking kind of dewy and fresh on the skin. So pretty. So now we are going to finish the look with a gorgeous pout. I'm going to use this liner, which is a collaboration that MAC did with Teyana Taylor, and it is in the shade Night Moth, which I think is an existing shade that MAC have done for a while, because it's a really kind of great, deep, kind of purpley plum. And I'm just using a very sharpened pencil to go right, kind of angle the pencil this way, and then you get the sharpest lip line. Just to go right at the outer edge of Anna's lips, just to create this defined and full looking shape. And then I'm actually going to fill the whole lip in with pencil afterwards, and that's going to keep it on as a kind of base to anything I put on top. I lied, I'm not putting that liner all over lips. I'm actually going to use a lipstick instead. This is a beautiful lipstick by Lisa Eldridge called Velvet Midnight's Lips. I lied, I'm not putting that liner all over lips. I'm actually going to use a lipstick instead. This is a beautiful lipstick by Lisa Eldridge called Velvet Midnight. That's a really velvety, deep tone, sort of kind of the same tone as that lip liner. But I love these velvety textures. And it's kind of like matte, but it has a little bit of slip to it, hence the velvet. And it's a really kind of rich, pigmented and beautiful tone. And this brush is by My Kit Co. The number is worn off, so I'm not sure what number it is, but it's really good for kind of being precise around lip lines. And I'm just going to show you this moment because I always find this so satisfying when the lip line is done and you just fill in what's left. I'm going to finish this with a gloss. This is a matte gloss, again a collaboration with Tiana Taylor, and the shade is called Across the Board. And I'm just going to pop that on, and that's going to make the shade a little more red and just really beautifully kind of this lacquer shine. So makeup is done. Now we are going to transform the hair and we will show you the finished look afterwards. So Davide has just created this incredible hair, which I think complements the look so well. I love all of the volume and texture teamed with this kind of minimalistic editorial makeup. So I hope you've all enjoyed.